Welcome back. Right now we are going to talk about comparing decimals, and we're going to talk about 3 ways to compare decimals today. We're going to talk about comparing decimals that are written in the tenths to other decimals that are written in the tenths. We're going to talk about comparing decimals that are in the hundredths to other decimals that are written in the hundredths. And then we're going to talk about taking decimals that are in the tenths and comparing them to decimals that are in the hundredths. And as you can imagine, that last one is the trickiest. So let's start with comparing decimals that are in the tenths to decimals that are in the tenths. So I'm going to simply write 2 decimals in the tenths. 0.2, which is 2 tenths, compare it to 0.8, which is 8 tenths. Now, if we drew visuals of this, and I divided those holes into tenths, I bet before I even color them in, you could probably tell me which of these is going to have more colored. All right. So in this one, I'm going to color in 2 tenths. 1, 2. And in this one, I'm going to color in 8 tenths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm sure many of you were able to predict that in your head, that 2 tenths is less than 8 tenths. So we would say 2 tenths is less than 8 tenths, like that. Okay. So we can also talk about this using a number line. Okay, and I'm making my number line nice and big so I can write my words pretty big. Okay, remember I called this my ones, my tens, and my hundreds. And over here, I called this my tenths with the TH and my hundredths with the TH. Okay? And I'm just going to make a couple of rows here so I can compare numbers. All right. So when we're comparing numbers that are higher than decimals, let's talk regular numbers. Let's say we were comparing the number 367 to 307. We always start by looking in the highest place value. And here we have a 3 and a 3, so they're the same. So we go down to place value. Here and here we have a 6 and a 0, which is greater, 6 or 0. We know 6 is, which would tell me that 367 is greater than 307. But we're not talking about whole numbers this time. So I'm going to erase those whole numbers, and I'm going to write down the numbers that we are talking about. We're talking about 2 tenths and 8 tenths. Well, we're going to start in the highest place value. And as I go across, I see the highest place value is the tenths. And then right away, I can tell the difference. The 8 is greater than the 2, which means 8 tenths is greater than 2 tenths, just like we saw here and in the picture that we drew. All right. So sometimes you'll see hundredths being compared to each other. Okay. So I am going to get these papers stacked a little bit neater. And I am going to say we have 24 hundredths, and we are comparing them to 37 hundredths. Okay, and again, I draw a picture, and I bet in this picture, you can see in your head right away which one would be larger. Okay, but instead, before I fill this in, I'm going to do a number line too. Just like we did on the last page. And I will label everything. I'm going to put my decimal point there, my ones, my tens, my hundreds, my tenths with the TH, and my hundredths with the TH. Okay. And now I'm going to write my numbers in. So I have 24 hundredths, and I have 37 hundredths. Okay, and I start with the largest place value, which is here, and my 3 is greater than my 2. So this is the number that's greater. Now you need to be careful that you start in the largest place value, because if I had started here, I would have been okay in this case, because 7 is still larger than the 4. But I could have, if it had been 27 hundredths and 34 hundredths, it could have changed my answer. So I will write in my less than symbol. 24 tenths is less than, 24 hundredths is less than 37 hundredths. Now, sometimes you'll get the tricky ones that want you to compare hundredths to tenths. Now, when you see this, you need to be very careful and think in your head about place value and not just the digits. Because when I look at these digits here and I see 9 and I see 2, in my head, I'm tempted to say, well, a 9 is a larger digit, so it must be the larger place value on this side. 9 hundredths must be larger than 2 tenths. But you'll see with the picture I'm about to draw and the place value chart, you're going to see that that is not the case. So if I have 9 hundredths, all right, so I'm going to color in 9 of these hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, now I need to compare that to 2 tenths. Okay, and I color in 2 tenths. I've got this whole row here, but then I have another whole row here. So I've actually colored in or shaded in more of this model. Let's draw a number line. And this is where it should really start to make sense. Okay, so we have our ones, our tens, and our hundreds, and we have our tenths and our hundredths. Okay, so I'm going to start by writing 9 hundredths. I'll do it in different colors so it stands out. 9 hundredths. And then I have 2 tenths. 2 tenths. Now, like you've seen in other videos and in different examples, there's kind of like an invisible 0 here. I could put 0 after 0 after 0 after 0. It wouldn't change the value of that decimal. So I'm going to make it just kind of light there. But it really doesn't even matter because I'm starting with the largest place value. And my largest place value is tenths. Which is larger, 2 or 0? You all know 2 is the greater number. So that means 2 tenths is greater than 9 hundredths. Or 9 hundredths is less than 2 tenths. All right, we are going to do one more example, and then I am going to send you off to do your own work. This example, I am going to include some whole numbers. All right, I'm going to say 6 and 42 hundredths compared to 6 and 3 tenths. Okay? Actually, pause it. Draw yourself your own number line, not number line, your own place value chart, and give it a try. And then pause. Okay, I'm going to draw a number number line. And as usual, I'm going to label it ones, tens, hundreds, and tenths, and hundredths. Okay, so this is the 6 is ones. So I'm going to write in 6 and 42 hundredths, and then 6 and 3 tenths. And again, I know that there could be an invisible 0 there. All right, let's see. Highest place value. In the ones place, we have the same value, 6 ones. That doesn't tell me which is larger. I'm going to move on to the tenths. Which is larger, 4 or 3? 4 is the larger number, so that tells me that even whatever's happening on this side of the number, the right doesn't matter. 6 and 42 hundredths is larger than 6 and 3 tenths. All right, let's do one more just for fun. Let's include some whole numbers here again. I'll say we have 2 and 8 hundredths, and we're comparing it to 2 and 2 tenths. All right, I'd like you to pause the video. I'd like you to make yourself a place value chart and give this one a try. Again, I'm hoping you are unpausing now. Drawing my place value chart. My ones, tens, hundreds, tenths, and hundredths. All right, let's start with this number, 2 and 8 hundredths. So 2 and 8 hundredths. And then my next number is 2 and 2 tenths. Let's start with the largest value and see what we can figure out. In my ones place, I have a 2 and a 2. That doesn't tell me which of the numbers is greater. I'll go on to my tenths place, and I have 0 and a 2. Ooh, I know 2 is larger than 0, so that tells me that this is my larger or greater number. So I'm going to write in my symbol, and I know that 2 and 8 hundredths is less than 2 and 2 tenths. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was a helpful video for you. Please do your best on the work that is in the Google form to follow.